This is the War Room Roundtable podcast, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant businessmen and women on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on the road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their successes into your life and business. The War Room Roundtable is brought to you by your hosts, Jason Miller, CEO of Strategic Advisor Board, and Phillip Lanos, CEO of Own the Rhythm, and former podcast host for Entrepreneur and Inc. magazine. Welcome to the War Room, Chip. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. It rained here this week, so the drought has been broken, and I can look out and we have a little farm. I look out, I can see the cows are grazing, and the sheep, and the one big fat potbelly pig, which got dropped off here by somebody who kicked it out of their car. So yeah, things are doing well.
It sounds like things are in order. And I've never been on a farm, but I hear great things.
Well, don't wear shoes you really like.
Jason, on the other hand, has a lot of experience with that growing up. And
I grew up on a farm in Montana. So
wow. Whereabouts?
Fairview, Montana. Little town. You blink, you miss it. It's right on the Montana, North Dakota border. If you know where Williston, North Dakota is, or Miles City, there, Montana. Yeah.
Well, my maternal grandparents came from Shoto, Montana, and so yeah. Great. In fact, he actually was a pilot. Everybody in my family has been pilots. He in World War I. He was in Italy. I have his Italian license, pilot's license. So.
Wow. Okay.
Stuck in the family.
Well, look, one of the ways we like to start the show off is by finding more about where someone's origins came from, right? And what I have here in my notes is that you're a writer right now. Let's keep in mind, a lot of business owners swear up and down one day they're going to write a book. They don't know when, but they're going to do it, right? And
oh no, yeah. When I published my first book, which was back in the 80s, I went to the bank to deposit the check. The teller said, "Oh, I'm a writer." And then I had the dog in the car. I took it over to the vets, and the veterinary assistant was helping me out. And she said, "Oh, I'm a writer. I've got a novel." And then my wife came home from taking some stuff to the seamstress and said, "The seamstress has a whole trunk full of her novels." So I didn't feel all that special anymore.
That's funny.
Okay. I love that you brought that up because, like, as we were talking about, a lot of business owners will swear up and down they're going to write their book, or they write it, but then they do nothing with it. But you yourself have made a profession out of writing, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I had a book out in the 80s. It did pretty well. Made a movie with you got to see Kelly Preston in it, and it was nice. And Margaret. We went to the rap show party, and my wife and I were dancing with all these people, and I came back and said, "Those people are all so happy." She said, "They're all on cocaine." Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's a long ways from the farm.
Party for me.
So
long ways from the farm there.
Yeah. So no, yeah. I grew up in Houston. I say, suburban kid, but went to college, joined the Marine Corps, 67, got out, and I signed up for the Marine Corps in 67, got out in 74. Did I get to the war? No. I was a pilot. By the time I got trained, they were asking for only volunteers. And I said, I signed up for the Marines in 67. I did one stupid thing. I'm not volunteering. If you need me, send me, but you're not getting me if I say that. So you learn from experience.
Yeah.
True.
And so then how does that lead into
Well,
where you are
then I read
today?
a book, but because I have, we had a family of 3 kids, family of 5, and health insurance was going up, over the counter health insurance every year. I said, I can't write anymore. I'm going to go work in academia. So I went and worked in academia, teaching writing in universities and colleges. So and finally retired from that. When I retired from that, I started writing again because the kids are gone. They don't need anything now. Leave me alone.
Now, do
Great
you
when they're gone. You act like it's going to be so bad. It's like when you put the youngest one on the school bus for the first time, and you're crying. They think, oh, they're gonna miss her, the little kid so much. You go, no, they're crying with happiness. The kids on the bus, we got a free day.
Do you find that anything that you've learned in academia has carried over into, like, your work in academia has carried over into your work as a writer now?
No, I was afraid to become too involved in academia like that intellectually, because it's really a place where it's not good for people. It's not good for your intelligence. It's bad. You think, oh, we'll be studying ideas. No, you're just studying weird personalities that hole up in their offices and squirrel around. And my old next door office mate thought that the CIA was watching him. And he couldn't talk in his office. He had to write things out and hand them to you. And he was a Harvard graduate. So, we couldn't talk. We had to pass these things back. But so, no, I tried to let as little of it rub off as possible. Try and keep up with the world.
I love that you said that academia in itself is like counterintuitive to developing yourself as an intelligent intellectual.
Well, yeah, I think one of the key things to remaining intelligent and active is to marry an intelligent and active woman.
There it is.
That really keeps you on the ball. Yeah. So yeah, she's looking at me now. I said nice things. Yeah.
I can speak for that.
Yeah.
And that, folks, is how you stay married.
Yeah. 40 some odd years. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. My wife's way smarter than me and way more intelligent than I am. And you know what? I know it.
Yeah. Even if she didn't point it out so often.
Right. Oh man.
So you started writing again. And
well, I started writing. I thought I'd been thinking about writing a book set during the Vietnam time, particularly the end of the war, for years. And I was always so serious. And I find whenever I get serious, I know I'm on the wrong track. So finally, we were hiking in Colorado, camping and hiking in Colorado. And I was walking along. And I said, I've got it. I've got the first line. Once you think of the first line, it sets the tone. And it didn't take off from there, but it marched on. So the result is a comic. I like to think of it as a romantic war comedy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like MASH.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe a little truer, but equally eccentric characters. Yeah.
Now, as a writer, what makes you choose going the novel route versus what most people are doing these days with personal development books and things of that nature?
Well, I don't know anything about personal development.
You say, I don't know a thing about it.
I really prefer imaginary world. I mean, of course, maybe they are imaginary worlds if they're personally developed, thinking they're personally developed when they're just, ordinary people.
I like that. There's a no nonsense approach to the way that you look at things. It reminds me very much of Bukowski. A lot of that attitude of just, hey man, this is what it is, Well, here we are.
Yeah, well, yeah. An accurate apprehension of reality is a really nice thing to have. I have so many friends who are not don't seem to have that. Are they living in the same world I'm living in? Don't they see these things? Well,
No,
anyway.
I
I think
dig it.
my apprehension is accurate. They think they're accurate. So, well, we'll see.
There it is. That's an opener for a book right there. I believe that my apprehension of reality is accurate. That's how it starts.
That's not a bad idea. I'm working on the beginning of another one. So yeah. Nice. Okay.
There's just some.
That's the title of this
I
show.
actually do think that's a pretty good idea, Phillip. Okay. You're not getting any credit.
Hey man, game recognized game.
No, you got to steal. That's what you got to do.
So then,
it's funny.
yeah, no, for me, I think it's interesting that we're going back and forth on this. Do you find that the industry of books and writing is that something that's still a viable career in a digital age?
I don't know. I don't think so. I've said several times since I got back into this. I sent this book off to my old agent, who was a small little agent when I began with her in the 80s, and she's giant now, and she loved it, but she couldn't sell it because the publishing houses, the editors, are scared to death they're going to back something that doesn't sell, and then they'll have to go get a job at Office Depot. So they'll be turned into real people. So they end up rejecting an awful lot of stuff that seems a little different because they want to do something that's the same. I I really should have put some zombies in this book. We've done that.
War and zombies,
okay.
sign me up.
Yeah, one or two zombies just walking through the scene every once in a while.
And cut to zombies walking.
Yeah. We jest, but the marketplace is such that this is what most people have to consider when creating or launching anything. And it's, as we talk about accurate apprehension of reality, that is the reality of a marketplace. If you're not working with a trend or what's happening, and so that you can position your book, this creative work, right, instead of just distilling it to its true essence and providing something to someone that when they walk away from it, they feel more connected to whichever one of the characters they latched onto for the sake of them being humans. No, they got to have powers, and they have to be, this other thing. And so I think it's really interesting that you bring that up, because that is a valuable lesson in marketing. And
I don't know that the editors really know, they don't know, they're so far divorced from the people who read. I just don't know. Last night we were over at a local, it was a kind of a place, I guess you could call it bar, but it's a bistro thing. Ran into some people that we knew from church, real uptight gal. I mean, she's an uptight 70s year old gal. And I passed them by, and they said, I just finished your book. She said, it was breathtaking. I just couldn't believe it. I was completely involved in their lives. I thought, God, that really shocked me, because I never thought it would connect with her. For one thing, there's a lot of cussing in it, because these are Marines and it's war, and they don't use the F word in every sentence. They're considered a failure, inability to communicate. So, so I thought that was kind of, my God, I did connected with this person. And I would never have predicted that, but certainly the editors would have figured that out. So, okay. Well, that's it.
Yeah, no, I love everything that we've been covering so far. And it just so happens that because this show is supported by actual business owners and actual entrepreneurs who do listen to this show for insights and looking to learn more about what's going on. One of those just happens to be, and you may actually be familiar with them, Rogue Publishing Partners. And we're lucky to have them, because as everyone who listens to the show knows, if you're a business owner and you're looking for independent publishing industry contacts. Well, Rogue Publishing Partner literally can offer you all that, whether you're an executive, an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, just looking to write a book in general, publish. Maybe you want to be marketing books. Well, there's a partner you can have there. And they've literally designed all of their methods to give you that traction you've been looking for in the marketplace. And we're lucky to have them as supporters of this show. So if that's something you're interested in doing, then go to roguepublishingpartners.com.
You spell that for me. Roe, R-O-E, like
Rogue Publishing.
Roe,
So that's
R-O-G-U-E. Okay.
yeah, R-O-G-U-E
I'll look it up. Sure.
publishingpartners.com. Yeah.
Sure. I'll look it up for sure.
Yeah, man. No, so it's something that I'm very grateful we had a chance to sort of get at the realities of what it looks like in the writing business, because a lot of people are looking to write books. Like you said yourself, you turn the corner and somebody has an ambition of writing a book, and it makes you feel a certain type of way, but you actually have finished. And in the fact that you finished, is there anything you can offer for someone who's still on the edge there of like how they can get over the hump? You said yourself, sometimes you step away, but what really is something you can leave behind about that?
About the writing process?
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with your words, because I've written scenes and I've got them so polished, and I just think that is so great. Every word is clicking, it's working, but it doesn't fit into the whole thing. So I have to throw it away. And I used to weep about that. And then now I think, I can always, it came out, they were in my head once, they're in there. If I need them, I'll pull them out. But yeah, I mean, it is a frustrating business, because that all the words are there. You just need to line them up in the right order, and they'll mean something. It's difficult for me. Sometimes when people say, well, do you think about your readers? I think, well, kind of, but mostly if I'm not entertaining myself, it's not going to be, I'm fooling it. I can't do it.
This is sort of what you were talking about earlier when you said yourself, well, it's time I got serious. And you knew the moment you said it's time to get serious, you were on the wrong path.
Right. Yeah.
Understood.
I'm not a serious person.
Before we go over to the grand finale question, because it looks like time is flying here, I want to check in with Jason to see his reflections on this conversation so far.
I really just have a curiosity question, and that is, how did you get led into this? What led you into writing that first book back then?
Well, I don't know. I guess when I was in the military, I was thinking I was going to get out, and I thought, well, what do I want to do out there? And I was a pilot. I was a trained pilot. I could keep doing that, but I thought, I really like to be a writer. It doesn't look like much work. I mean, you just sit there going like this. You get to wear cool clothes, like turtlenecks and sport coats with elbow patches and stuff. And people think, oh, when will you be on? Back these days it was Johnny Carson, but when you be on the Late Show? Well, so I imagine it looked kind of like a great lifestyle for me. Sit around, then drink some coffee, go look out the window, And so but I always liked words, and I've been a writer, so so I don't know, a life of imagination.
Right on. No, man. Yeah, I can validate for that. It definitely looks cool to be a writer, but the reality is far from the truth.
Yeah, I wear a lot of threadbare t-shirts. Not that cool turtleneck.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
with that said, the moment of the $1 million question has arrived for this conversation, and that is, if you could have invited anybody, Chip, to this conversation to just like tune in and get a glimpse of what we were talking about here, with not taking things too serious, and knowing that if you're entertaining yourself and you're finding that juice, that everyone else around you will too, because that's part of the art, right? Is the people who make the best art always happen to be the most relaxed. I don't know why that is, but it's just a fact.
It's
that
probably drugs. No, Well, it's self-manufactured dopamine.
So if you could have invited anybody here today to join the conversation,
I thought about this, and then I looked at my wife, and she gave me the nod, and I realized she was right. This book is dedicated to my cousin, who is Mark Hannay Dixon. He was almost exactly my age, a very smart guy. Went to Wharton School of Finance and got drafted. And I, by that time, I had said I don't want to get drafted, so I avoided the draft by shrewdly joining the Marine Corps, which may have been a slight strategic blunder, but this guy was always clumsy. He was always bumping into things. He was a country club kid, and he went to the boot camp, and everybody loved him. He was the grandpa. He was an older guy since he was about 23, and he bonded with these guys like he'd never bonded with anybody. He went to whatever the Army does, ITT or the infantry thing the next day. And he could have gone to OCS, but no, he wanted to stay with those guys and go to Vietnam. So he went to Vietnam. And the last time before we left, we went back to Houston. We went out partying. We got thrown out of a couple of nightclubs for being loud. And so I get a letter from him. Well, actually, I go back to college. About 3 weeks later, I get a call. Mark's dead. Yeah. So I go home and I see my grandparents, who were my grandfather's projectile tearing up, and my grandmother's clicking away with her knitting needles. And the post comes. She goes, "Oh, that's the post." She goes and gets it. And it's a letter from Mark. One of those blue fold-up free mail service band envelopes. And I open it up and I read it, and it's to me, and it's about things he'd done in Saigon, which were not really something my grandparents needed to know before they should die. It was soldier stuff, before you go out, and interlude. So he went out, and he left. I folded up the letter and put it in my pocket. My grandparents were kind of looking at me. What did it say? I said, "Oh, he was just telling me he went to Saigon, and he went to a lot of really nice museums." And they went, "Oh, okay." Anyway, he didn't make it more than a week after that, but he did get the Silver Star. So that's he was a brave guy, and he loved his friends and his buddies, and that was So I wish you could be here. Anyway, it's a little hole in the world.
Man, big shout out. It's funny, we sometimes forget in passing and just being ourselves and living our lives the kind of impact we have on the people closest to us. And sometimes we have no idea what the world would look like if we weren't around for those people anymore. So I hope that this conversation is a great reminder to people to not take yourself for granted and the impact that you have on people, and to double down and love people harder and be there for people harder and be sillier. Don't take things as serious as you planned on doing. In fact, throw away the plan if you have to, but whatever you do, don't stop loving, don't stop smiling, don't stop creating. I think that's
a good advice from a young man. Unbelievable. You must have been reading some books or something.
No, I just read the book of your life right now.
That's right.
And that's what I took from it, man. So thank you so much, Chip, for sharing. The wisdom comes from just throwing it all out the window and being yourself, man. It means a lot.
Did you hear that? He said wisdom.
You're going to try to capitalize on that.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna print t-shirts.
That's too funny.
Oh, man. No, seriously, in all seriousness, it's been a great conversation. And as traditional on the show, I'm going to let Jason close us out.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Gosh, what a wonderful, refreshing, serious yet comical, right? version of the show. I love your spirit, my friend. It's so much fun, and I'm glad you could be here today. It's was a pretty awesome conversation, actually.
Well, that's great.
I needed that laugh today.
Wasn't that a time? Buy the book.
Yeah. What's the book? Where do people go to buy the book?
Oh, Amazon.
What's the title of the book?
Wasn't that a time?
There it is.
Wasn't that a time on Amazon?
Love during a war is a deep and funny mess.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah, man. No, I love it. Seriously, if this conversation is any indicator of the type of book that is, wasn't that a time? It's going to be a hell of a time.
Well, if you like the conversation, it is. If you didn't like it, it's really different.
Another lesson in marketing, right there.
Yeah.
We happen to specialize in that.
Yeah. I may change a career here.
There you go.
Chip, seriously, it's been a pleasure,
Awesome.
man.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Chip,
thanks a
for
lot,
being
guys.
here.
I really
All right.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I feel so exposed.
Just gonna keep going, aren't you?
All right.
Thanks for listening to the War Room Roundtable with your hosts, Jason Miller and Phillip Lanos. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and always remember, if you can dream it and believe it, then you can go achieve it. We'll see you in the next episode.